As trusted as a lighthouse, as sturdy as an anchor, Rondout Savings Bank has been a cornerstone of good stewardship since it opened in the maritime village of Rondout back in 1868. Over the decades, it has served a vital role in building dreams as a solid financial partner and good neighbor. This year, the bank that got its start just after the Civil War, while Andrew Johnson was president, is marking its 150th anniversary in a big way, with deep reflection of the principles that have shaped it.
The core values of the bank in 1868, 1968, and now today are all exactly the same. It's who we are. Let us be trusted. Let us serve our community is exactly what it was 150 years ago.
It was Thomas Cornell, a prominent 19th century businessman known best for his Cornell Steamboat Company, who founded the bank at the Masonic Building on the corner of Broadway and East Strand, with slightly more than $61,000 in capital.
The main part of his entire career was towing on the Hudson River. That's what he did. But he branched out over the years. At that point in time, he'd really done very well and kind of spread the wealth around.
Bowers, the bank's 14th president, said those who served before her were themselves early luminaries, steering the bank steadily over the decades.
If you look at the first, I think it's 5 or 6 names of the presidents that served, the first 5 or 6, there are actually streets named. It's Darrenbecker and Staples and Lindsley, happened to be the street I grew up on, which is pretty neat, you know. But and they were mayors of the city. They were pillars of the community, and that's the backbone of this bank. Is the how invested in the community every one of the leaders, myself included, are with the community.
Even in the early years, the bank cemented its place in Kingston's history, safeguarding the assets of returning Civil War veterans and their families. 2 years after it formed, upwards of 3 million tons of coal were being shipped on the D&H Canal. It was just before Rondout merged with the more populous village of Kingston in 1872. Rondout Savings Bank later moved to a storefront office in the Cornell Steamboat Company building at the foot of Broadway, before moving to its first freestanding building in 1928, where it would remain until the federally funded Urban Renewal Project.
The then president of the bank decided, let's put, a brand new high-end, high-tech 70s stone building here on Broadway in Kingston. We're proud to be still on Broadway in Kingston. I mean, outside of the hospital and the school, I think we're probably the biggest employer on Broadway. And the one thing that everybody in this local neighborhood can rely on is that the bank is here and we're here to stay.
Rondout Savings Bank has survived depressions, wars, and sweeping social and industrial changes, and has adapted well to the times, including technological advances. It also moved toward commercial loans in 2001.
I'm happy to say more than half, 51.2% of our deposits and half of our loans are now business banking loans, commercial loans. So there was obviously a need. I'm grateful to the fact that we don't have a lot of delinquencies or charge-offs. We didn't feel that pinch or pain in 2008 when a lot of other banks did. And that boils right down to the fact that we lend to our community. This is where we live. This is where we sleep and work and eat and play, and our kids go to school. So we know the good and the bad, and you know where to put your toe in the water and where not to.
It's great to be able to walk into a bank and to know the people there, well, from the tellers all the way up to the CEO. All by their first name, and they're always smiling and friendly and welcoming, and they're exceptional at customer service. A great history of integrity in our community. Truly, they are looked upon as one of the keystones of our local community, and can't think of a better organization to help celebrate this 150th anniversary and to look at their great history and to look at where they're going to be going in the future. They've got a wonderful, wonderful future ahead of them.
The bank, which has 5 branches, including the latest in Hyde Park, continues to make history even as it celebrates history. Bowers, the bank's first female president, said she intends to leave a legacy as rich as the institution itself.
I live to serve, this bank lives to serve, and I hope that is my legacy at some point. I don't necessarily need a street named after me, but it would be really cool to be remembered as that president that was so committed to the community.
To represent our brand, we turned to SUNY at New Paltz to create a 3D model of the Rondout Lighthouse.
This is the Hudson Valley Advanced Manufacturing Center, and behind me is what's officially the Makerbot Innovation Center. So this is, what you're seeing is an array of about 25 desktop 3D printers.
We received the drawings and then we were able to make them into 3D. And then once we have that file, we optimize it for printing, and then we can come over here and see it actually being built. So the way these printers work is they start from the bottom of the file and they lift up. And each layer is deposited down with a hot plastic. After about 3 hours, this process is complete. We're able to remove the print and start assembly. The parts that are actually printed three-dimensionally are the lighthouse itself and what we've been calling the topper, where the lighting actually lives. The things that we brought in were the lights themselves, LEDs, and the bases were laser cut over in the digital fabrication lab that we have on campus.
We went online and were able to source a small LED light that we could build the lighthouse around, and then it's designed so that when you turn the top of the lighthouse, it turns the light on.
The beacon is printed in a different color. It's the same material, which is PLA, which is polylactic acid. And what's great about this material is if it's sent to a composter, it will compost.
We really appreciate the partnership with Rondout Savings Bank to really get the message out about what's possible with this technology.
Rondout Savings Bank would like to say thank you to you and your team for this cooperative effort on this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure building the lighthouse.